Gary, I'm going to look at your chipping stroke. This was toward the beginning of the chipping session. Uh, Here's your setup. Uh, One of the things that I had talked about was the importance of having your low point in front of the golf ball. And that required having a little bit more weight on your left side and your hands in front of the golf ball. I've drawn this box up from the center of both ankles, and you are set up a little bit more on the right side than you are the left side. Now you do have a little bit of a shaft lean here, so your hands starting out are a little bit in front of the golf ball, so that's good. So before you begin the backswing, you have that shaft lean. So you have your hands in front, which will promote a downward hit into the golf ball so that the low point is in front of the ball. So now let's look at the backswing as your club comes back. As you start forward, you're just now hitting the ball. The shaft is not going through the ball with that forward shaft lean. You actually have the hands behind the ball. And so you moved your low point at impact behind the golf ball instead of standing in front of the ball. And this will cause you to hit fat shots and thin shots. Now this occurs because you have a tendency to stop your hands and just flip the club through, and you don't keep the hands moving forward towards the target. So as you come through here, you can see where your left wrist isn't really moving much. So that part of your hand, your left hand, hasn't really changed that much as you come through. In order to hit down the golf ball, you have to keep the butt end of the handle moving forward and the butt end of the handle staying ahead of the club head.
Now, if you have it.
Okay, Gary, this is your little pitching swing with your sand wedge. I've drawn a box around your center of your ankles up to the top of your head, and I've drawn a little hash mark, a little red line going down the bridge of your nose. You have a tendency to set up a little bit on your right side, which tends to move that low point of your swing back too far. Even though your hands are well in front of the golf ball and you have a good shaft lean, that is not the only thing that helps set the low point of your swing in front of the golf ball. That's an important part of it, but secondary is making sure your weight is in front of the golf ball. And right now your weight is more behind the golf ball. Also, you have a tendency on your downswing to do what we call a reverse weight shift. Instead of having your weight move towards the target, you have a tendency to fall back to your back foot. When you move towards the target, you should move towards your front foot. So as I As I take you back into the backswing, you actually move your head a little bit forward, which is good. In fact, the bridge of your nose now is in front of that red line. But as you start down, you start drifting backwards right there. And as you make contact, you have moved the bridge of your nose behind the golf ball. So you have done what we call a reverse weight shift. You have fallen backwards as you try to swing forwards. And that will cause you to hit behind the ball or hit the ground behind the ball or hit it really thin. Gary, I'm going to compare your pitching technique that you had at the beginning of the session and then how you made some adjustments toward the end of the session. On the left was in the before category. I've drawn a box at the center of the ankles up to the top of the head. And as you set up, in both setups, you have your hands in front of the ball. You have a nice shaft lean. That's good. But on the left, you had a tendency to have your head more towards your back foot. You were much further back in your stance with your weight. And on the right, I had you think more about staying on that left side more. And you can see how your head is much more in the center of the box. As you continue to improve this technique, I'm going to want you to go even further with even more weight on your left side. But this is a big improvement right here. I'm now taking you to the end of the backswing. And you can see how on the left you have stayed on the back foot. And on the right, you are starting to press towards your left foot. You can see how your left knee is still right on top of your left foot right there. And your left knee over here has drifted back some. So you're really, this is when we were talking about almost putting your shoulder against a wall and leaning against that wall. This is when you were focusing on a whole new feeling of staying on your left side during your backswing. And you had a tendency to fall backwards here. You can see how your head is falling outside the box there as you hit the ball. And you did a much better job of staying on that left side, and you didn't fall back into that back foot. So that's very good.
You have a tendency to fall back a little bit, what we call reverse weight shift. You have a tendency to fall back as you're hitting.
Oh, okay.
So you got to stay here, almost like your left shoulder's against the wall, and you're going to stay on that wall.
Okay.
Stay on that wall. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, that felt much better.
Yeah.
That felt much better.
Now that way, your low point stayed in front of the ball, so as it comes down, the ground's not there. It's going to catch that ball first. Good one. Good one.